Go ask a hooker what is a 360. Don't ask regular people because they don't know what you're talking about. A 360 in the prostitution is not the same as 360 in mathematics. Just so you know. It's some stuff going on. Like, put some respect on my name, Birdman. Whole buck breaker. That's all he do. He into that. Buck breaking. He wants somebody to put some respect on his name. I would literally slap him down myself. I don't have no respect for him. What he doing to them boys? Got no respect for him. I cut his throat from ear to ear. I cannot respect that. Right? When you exploiting the economic suffering of children in order to put them in positions to abuse them. Right? And then you want to tell somebody that you think you can beat when you got all your goons with you to put some speck on your name. I'll put some speck on your name, or I'll put a speck on your eye. But y'all not seeing. Look, I'm probably gonna pull these receipts up and post them. I've been wrote about Vince McMahon and his nefarious dealings behind the scenes 5 years ago. Been wrote about it. But back then, when nobody was talking about it, nobody knew what I was talking about. Right? And how they figure out how to get rid of the people that he couldn't stand. And I can name them. He needed to get rid of Chris Benoit because he was a concussion liability, and they had discovered while he was taking his physical after winning the title that he had severe brain damage from multiple concussions, and they didn't want to have to pay out on a concussion lawsuit that was about to spark up. And Jesse the Body is back there trying to get a wrestlers union organizing the wrestlers. That's why Vince had to get rid of him. So he had to get rid of the Macho Man because the Macho Man interfered. They think Macho Man was having an affair with Stephanie when she was underage, but it was more like he was protecting Stephanie from somebody else. And Vince ran in there. Stephanie hid behind the Macho Man, and Vince told him, Macho Man told Vince he can't touch her while he there, and he fired him. Then she was in love with Kurt Hennig because she thought he was the finest thing that ever laced up a pair of wrestling boots because that was her type. If you look at Triple H, you understand what I'm talking about. And because Vince had this long thing with the Hennigs, going back to his father and exploiting him for wealth back in the day under Vince McMahon Sr., then you understand why he didn't like the fact that Stephanie thought that he was so adorable, and he really hated him because his daughter was in love with him. And so they had to get rid of him. They put DMSO in his cocaine and gave him a bad batch of cocaine. Then Macho Man, they put the DMSO in his ecstasy tablets and gave him some bad ecstasy, and they sent Kevin Sullivan to kill Chris Benoit and his wife and son. That's what happened. Just like Vince had some people go kill Dino Bravo because he was scared of Dino Bravo, and he's too scared to fire him, so he hired somebody to go kill him. 9 out of 10, it was Billy Jack Haynes, who they said was wrestling's hired gun in order for them to enforce a lot of their stuff back in the 70s and early 80s. Right? So he had Dino Bravo was his first major kill because he was in line to be champ, to overtake Hulk Hogan as the heel champ and go with a feud with Hulk Hogan. But because he was into other stuff, they was able to use his connections with the trafficking of tobacco from Canada to America in order to get it under the prices, that was the cause of him getting murdered. Yeah, so Owen Hart, they partially connected his harness on purpose, and that was to get back at Brett for the Montreal screw job and signing that lucrative deal with WCW. And Vince was, made his brother pay for his sins, so to speak. This list goes on and on, because all of these things, like a lot of the law enforcement in these cases was paid off. This is why it's in this era it's good to get the original report, because the report might change. Because the original report in the Benoit case said that Benoit was dead at least 2 hours before his wife and his son. But when they came out with the official report listed him as being killing them first and then killing himself. And I was like, how did the times of death change to him being dead 2 hours before them to him being dead an hour and a half after them? And then nobody even asked the question. None of the people asked the question, like, how was that possible? Right? But it was all for the sacrifice. That's the three. And if you go back and you look at the timing, right? After the Chris Benoit death, after Eddie Guerrero died, and right in the middle of them two, the cerebral assassin emerged. Think about that for a minute. Right between the death of Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, this is when Paul Levesque is being hazed by Vince McMahon. He losing to bums. Chyna killed herself because she was betrayed by the one she loved, which was Triple H. And he was having this meeting with Vince to try to secure the hand of Stephanie McMahon in marriage. And she was really, really, really in love with Triple H. And then once he decided to leave her for Stephanie, Stephanie tried to compensate her, which made her want to puke. And she fell into the bottle and fell into a deep depression, and X-Pac couldn't get her out of it. Right? Yeah, her and X-Pac, because, X-Pac is younger than them. He grew up watching her with Triple H, and he came originally as a friend to console her, but he couldn't leave her because it was always a chance. That's what I'm talking about, X-Pac. He couldn't leave her alone because he was scared she was going to hurt herself, and him being with her on a day-to-day basis like that made them end up becoming a couple. But he was really trying to just be a good friend, but he fell into the relationship trying to support her while she was going through this mental, the 1, 2, 3 kid. She was going through this mental struggle. Vince responsible for quite a few suicides. Some people he ruined financially and they killed themselves behind it. And some people he had other things done. Like he used to sell good old JR's wife to his friends and thought it was funny. And dared JR to say something. Then he turned around and had her killed. But they don't want to talk about that stuff because the brotherhood in wrestling at that, in that era was so tight that your life is literally in the balance if you spread that stuff. Jake the Snake's still around. He just got strung out on cocaine. The Ultimate Warrior, they poisoned him at the induction to the Hall of Fame, and it only took 24 hours to kill him. I'm not sure that Whitney and Bobby Christina is gone, because I've seen some signs from some secret societies at both of their services that lead me to believe that they was removed to protect them from Clive Davis. But Clive Davis, he's a real Clive Davis, Tommy Mottola, Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, all of them is handlers. They all work for the Jewish Defense League and the Anti-Defamation League, and they all are there in order to make sure that they have some way to control these artists, right? And this is why all of the artists of the 90s had to go in to find out how to tell these artists in the 2000s how to be independent and get around the labels. Well, before they could do that, they first had to teach them what is your BMI and your ASCAP, right? What is your distribution? Who's your distributor, right? Do you got a label deal, a distribution deal, or an artist deal? So when they had to go through all of that, and yeah, a jaguar is a priest, a leopard, right? It's a North American equivalent to a leopard. And the black jaguar is called the Black Panther, the same way as a black leopard is called the Black Panther, the same way a black mountain lion is called the Black Panther. There's a root clan totem tribe called the Black Panthers from the old Mississippians, which is the root tribes to all of the tribes on both sides of the Mississippi. The ones to the east of the Mississippi are admixtures of peoples who came from Africa, the Middle East, India, and Europe primarily, whereas on the West Coast, most of the people that we amalgamated there came from Hawaii, Japan, China, Korea, and all the way down into the islands of Samoa. Those were the people who we was marrying on the West. And so a lot of what they was calling giants, you got to remember, when they coming over here, their average height is between 5 feet and 5'5". But the old Mississippians average between 6'5" and 7'5" on a regular, and they weigh anywhere from 285 to 400 pounds each. Them is your gorilla clans. Only reason I know because that's the clan that my father line come off of. The gorillas, them old Mississippi conjure men who use the gorilla as the totem, right? And all these trace back into Mesoamerica, going into Central and South America. We was called from all parts of the land to fight in the primary battlefield in Florida. Yeah, so right now, we need rappers that can keep it on wax, show the competitive edge, bring the interest back without nobody dying. And this is how you show the evolution of the artists in the game into a new level, because it was supposed to always be competitive wordplay. How do you move the words on wax versus how I move the words on wax? And how do your words move the crowd versus how my words move the crowd? So it became different types of artistry. You got the passion artists, right? That they passion carry the song. I'm talking about DMX, Tupac. Then you have verbal artists where they lyrics carry the song, like Biggie, like Big Pun, right? Then you have tongue twisters. The tongue twisters are the rapid rappers who use the language and they able to talk fast. Go back to JFK setting the world's record for the fastest speech ever, right? This is the wordplay. That's the Bone Thugs and Harmony, Twister out of Chicago, and guys like that, right? But then you got something called Southern Drawl. This is why you got different types of Southern rap. You got Texas Southern rap. You got Louisiana Southern rap. You got Atlanta Southern rap. And then you got Florida Southern rap, homage to Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke Pay attention, because he telling y'all something. Uncle Luke said, I'm in my garage for a reason. So he's been telling us about the industry since the lawsuit. We forget that Uncle Luke and Two Live Crew had to go to federal court to fight a freedom of speech case against the government for trying to ban their music, right? David Banner, he is from those lands of old Mississippians. He looked like he's off of the Chatta or Chickasaw line or one of them, but I'm not really sure what his tribal affiliation is. But you got these different artists, right? Like, they all telling you in story form what they seeing in their community. They just watchers, right? Yeah, but Uncle Luke was first, and he won, and that's when he came out with the remake of the Bruce Springsteen. I was banned in the USA, right? Then they tried to sue him for the sample. Ain't that something? No, Uncle Luke was ahead of the game. When that happened, he won his case, and he got out them people business. He got out them people business because it was the smartest thing to do. Because he seen from fighting the case how they move. And he said, this not for us. We need to get out of this because this is dangerous, because the way they doing us in this industry, that's that old sharecropper agreement applied to arts and entertainment, where they steal your intellectual property. And that's what they call selling your soul. It's the product that your soul produce as an intellectual property that they getting you to sell the rights to capitalize on it without you gaining anything from it. Yeah, that, Uncle Luke was look, they tried to get Uncle Luke and them Two Live Crew boys to sign major record deals after the drama went down, but he was like, nah. Yeah, Cube was smart too. And this is what made him, when he left NWA, he went to New York to talk to old heads in the industry. He was out there talking to Chuck D, Professor Griff, Jam Master Jay, Run DMC, guys like that that's been around. He like, I don't know, how am I supposed to make my money with these contracts? Q knew who to ask what questions in order to get in the position he in today. He didn't just get there by he was just born lucky. He was asking people. He was fighting his battles along the way that was exposing the game. Remember, he went in 91, Ice Cube the one said, we reporters. We ain't no different than the news reporter, but we talking to the people in our community about what's going on in our community, so that the people in Boston know what's going on in LA, and the people in LA know what's going on in New York. Ice Cube said that on the interview. Eazy-E said it too, right? So they understood the assignment and they followed it. Who is Garcia, Brandon? Look, they got some new artists coming up. They got some skills. They making good music. I didn't see that fight.